What's up everybody, it's Gabe and I'm back today. You know what day it is. It's Tuesday, which means we are here for another Tutorial Tuesday video. Today I'm talking about photo editing, what programs should you be using, what programs do I use, the best way to use presets, and then just what I look for and what you guys should look for too when you're editing your pictures, and then just some tips to go along with all of that. Later in the video we're going to hop onto the computer, I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to see exactly what I look for, and so I think that'll give you some really good insight and help you guys a lot when you're editing your pictures. But first, let me just explain everything else that I look for when I'm photo editing, and just some things in general about photo editing. Alright, so to kick it off, the program that I use primarily to edit my photos is Adobe Lightroom. The reason I don't use Photoshop more is because Photoshop is mainly for touching up pictures or maybe like manipulating them a lot more. Adobe Lightroom is mainly for changing the colors, the tones of the pictures, setting a mood of a picture, and you can really go back and change anything at any time when you use Lightroom. A mistake I made at first was I always used Photoshop for any photo editing. But once you make changes to the colors, it's not as easy to go back and make changes again. Where Lightroom, you can just open up the program, change the brightness if you wanted to, or change the reds if you wanted to, or change the blues, so on and so forth. You can change anything at any time in Lightroom. So that's my recommendation for you guys, is to also use Adobe Lightroom or a program that's very, very similar to it. Personally, I like Lightroom. It's very professional. It's pretty much the industry standard. And so that's what I'm going to recommend for you guys. That's also what this tutorial is going to be on, so you can follow along if you're using Lightroom, and it just makes it a lot easier. So now some tips for using Adobe Lightroom. Now when you first download the program, it can be extremely overwhelming. I get it, I was there at one point, but the best way to get over that overwhelming stage is to really just keep using it. Whether you're putting out bad edits, good edits, or anything in between, just keep using the program, because you're going to make yourself more familiar with it, and that's the only way you're going to get better, and that goes for anything in general. So a way that helped me to get better at using Adobe Lightroom was to look up tutorials on YouTube. Literally, I would just go on YouTube and type in how to edit like Brandon Wolfel, for example. Now, Brandon Wolfel doesn't put out content that like I'm trying to be like, but it just gets you to see a different way of editing, a different style of editing, and then you get more familiar with all the controls and you're like, oh wow, you can do that by doing this. I guess my best advice would be to find somebody who you like their style of editing, who you like their style of pictures, and then try to copy them. Literally try to take a very similar picture that they've taken and then edit it the same way and see how it comes out. See if it comes out like theirs. And I'm not saying you have to copy them every time moving forward, but to get good, you're copying somebody who is already good, and that way you can know that your photography is going to come out good in the end as well. So that brings me into the use of presets. There are so many people out there who have put out preset packs. I've personally put out a preset pack, and I'm going to talk about that later in the video. But presets are a super good way to learn. Now, I personally I just don't use presets, except for the ones that I've created. Personally, for myself, I just wanted to learn it from scratch, from ground zero, and that's what I did with Adobe. But a lot of people, it helps them learn by using presets, because you automatically see how that person edits. So today in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to edit pictures with presets, and how you should really use presets with the ones that I've created. So let's hop onto the computer and I will show you guys some tips and tricks about Adobe Premiere that will definitely help you improve your photography. Alright guys, so we're going to hop over into Lightroom, and we're just going to find a picture. I'm going to use this one of my buddy standing in front of the water. It just sets a good scene, and we can really do a few different things with this picture. When you come over to the bar on the right with all the different adjustment settings, it could be very overwhelming, especially when you open this up for the first time. You're like, holy crap, there are so many things going on here. And just take it step by step. My first tip would be to just use this first box in the basic section, and just play around with the bars and just make slight little adjustments and see how the photo changes, and then press Y on your keyboard, and that's going to be able to let you compare the before picture to the after of all the adjustments you just made. So really just play around with those basic adjustments, then reset it so that you can start again and just see what every little adjustment does. and that's going to be your best way to find out what things do in Lightroom and what you like doing and how you like making your pictures look. Okay, now going further into this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I think presets should be used in Adobe Lightroom. So the link is in the description to this exact preset pack that I have. This is something I created a few months ago. It's called Inspire, and it's inspired by a few photographers and also friends that I like their style, and I think a lot of people like their style, and they can really give your photos a nice twist. So you can use these exact same presets. They're free. The link is in the description, so you can go download those and follow along with me. So to start, when you click the preset, it's automatically going to change the settings and edit the photo a certain way. So when I designed these presets, it was designed to give it a certain look to a picture. So for example, Tim Werrell preset, this automatically gives your pictures a very icy tone, as I like to put it. That was how I interpreted his edits on his photos, and that's kind of what I tried to create in this preset. So we're going to use this preset as an example of this picture of my friend. And I'm going to show you how you should use this preset or any single preset in general. So the first thing that I automatically say is don't just leave it how it is. Once you click this preset, continue playing around with it and make it your own. So this is a good starting point, but in my opinion, this is just way too bright, and the highlights are blown out and things just need to change here. So of course, if you wanted to keep it like this, definitely 100% you can go ahead, file, export this right now, and just post it up on your Instagram, wherever. But you should go ahead and make further changes to this. So what I would do here is I would bring down the highlights more, definitely bring down the exposure, and finish bringing up those shadows more so that you can really see his face and the tones on his skin here. Now already this looks like a different picture. Now we can make this really moody by bringing this exposure down a little bit more, and you can already see how much different this looks. So if we were to go ahead and apply Tim Werrell again, look at the difference in tones and the mood of this picture. It is just extremely different, and this could be something that you can post. Now what I might do more is go ahead and select my brush tool and actually go ahead and brighten up his face a little more, and also his skin. I'd actually probably brush all of him. Now I'm just going to do a sloppy job here. And actually you're going to notice that its exposure is all the way up. I do this just so I can see where I'm highlighting, and then after the fact I will go ahead and turn that exposure back down, because you do not you do not absolutely want exposure up to 4. This just looks horrible. So when it's done, I'm going to bring it back down to 0. I'm actually going to just press reset here, and I'm just going to bring the shadows up on him a little bit more. That's that, and then I might even bring this exposure down just a tad more. Now this just looks like a completely different picture than when you had Tim Werrell at first. Like, that's just completely blown out, and now you really get a nice picture with some cool moody tones, and this is exactly how you should use some presets. Now I'll give you guys one more example. We'll use a different style picture. Alright, so for the next picture example, we're going to take this picture I took from the Fulton Center in New York, and you know, you can get some really nice tones out of this. There were some awesome colors, but let's say for an example I wanted to get more white out of the top here and then really highlight the colors, the reds and oranges that are coming out. So for me, I know I'm going to want to use my broken lens preset that I've created, and so we're going to select that, and already this just looks awesome. So I would say this picture is almost good to go out of the box. I want to bring these highlights down here, bring those down a little bit more to bring out some of that detail, and I think that looks better. Maybe bring the whites up just a tad more. And you know, this is really looking like a great picture. I want to see a little bit more detail in the middle so those shadows can come up
and now it's going to start to look like a really, really great picture, especially compared to that original. So those are my tips, guys. You can definitely go through all the settings on these presets and see what's changed, see what happens when you change one little thing. So like Aqua, for example, if you brought this all the way up, you would make this a lot more blue, and that changes the whole look of the picture.
I hope the tips that I just gave you guys help step up your photography to the next level and make your pictures just look that much better. And I promise you, the more you do this, the more you use these techniques, the better it's going to get. It's not going to happen on your first try, but as a personal example, over the past few months, especially since the beginning of the year, since I've been using these, my photography, I think, has just gotten better and better. My editing style is always changing. It's never at like one place. I'm really trying to develop that, and that's just a whole nother topic that I can go into in another video. Enough of me rambling now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week for another Tutorial Tuesday.